And it looks like we are live.
That's what it said
So
on mine.
that is pretty sweet. I'm pulling up the old Facebook here, and I don't see it coming through yet. But oh, there it is. Wow. We have sound too. Okay. We're good to go, brother. How are you?
Doing good. How are you, Tyler?
Hey, man. I'm doing good. So, just for everybody kind of joining in, and Jason, you're going to love these little things I have for us tonight
Uh-oh.
because you have no clue what's going on, and this is going to be great.
This is the first time hearing of it.
We're talking about the new worship camp at Oil Belt. You like that?
Yep, that's great.
You can see the banner?
Uh-huh.
Sweet.
Asterisks and everything.
Oh, man. That's pretty much the only thing I planned that I'm going to throw at you, but I felt like it was going to be exciting.
I was expecting like sound effects. I thought they were going to be like
there's a button for it, but that's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, probably. Well, on my end, you might get a random cat showing up from time to time, so no guarantees.
That's awesome. Hey, we love cats. That's all good. So, well, hey, as people, it looks like there's 9 people watching, so this is great. So what we're doing tonight, guys, if you're joining with us on Facebook, we actually can see comments, supposedly. So if you comment, I might be able to see them. I don't know about Jason on your end, what it looks like, but
I have no idea. Somebody's going to have to comment so we can see what happens.
There we go. That'll be wild card. But what we're going to do tonight, we're just going to take 10, 15 minutes to talk about the new worship camp at Oil Belt here this summer. And we have with us Jason Henry is the dean of that camp, the lucky man. Hey, Morgan Henry says, hello. We know Morgan Henry.
She's hiding over here on the other couch.
There you go. That's awesome. And Dylan Reed says, hey, guys. So sweet.
Hey, Dylan.
It works. That is awesome. So what we're going to do tonight is just kind of set up and share a little bit about worship camp, what it is, let you guys meet Jason, because some people know him very well. He's been around the area for a long time. And then some people have no clue who this guy is. Same thing with myself sometimes. So, Jason, I'll let you introduce yourself and just where you serve, how long you've been there, and how much you know of camp. Just a little bit. You know a little bit of camp.
Yeah. So my name's Jason. I've been the worship minister at Christ Church in Flora for 6 years, right? 6 years now? 7? Has it been 7 years?
I thought you were there before I came to camp. So
it was right around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was right around the same time because I think you were just starting. Because when we first came here, we hadn't closed on our house yet. I think we lived at camp for a little bit.
You lived in the cabins for a short time. Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
Yeah. The other funny thing is that I actually was signed up to lead worship that summer at Oil Belt before I even got this job. I was just going to come down from Kentucky for a week and just lead worship at Oil Belt and then go back home. But then we just moved here instead. So
just come and stay a while.
Yeah. So I've been leading worship and volunteering at camp ever since then. Had a lot of fun, worked with a lot of kids, to the point that I, run into them now at a restaurant or church or a conference or something and then panic because that's what you do when you run into a kid from 4 summers ago that was in your family group and you're supposed to know their name.
Oh man, it hurts, don't it? It feels so bad. I hate when that happens.
Yep. But yeah, I love camp. I grew up going to Hanging Rock Christian Camp in Indiana.
What town did you grow up in?
I grew up in Thorntown. It's close to Lebanon, which is halfway between Lafayette and Indianapolis.
Yeah, dude, Hanging Rock is awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So did you ever do the zip line or did they have it when you were there?
It did have it, but I was a big old chicken. So
I've been there twice, and Gary, the director there, asked if I wanted to ride it both times, and I said, no way, Jose. So it's for those who don't know, they have a zip line over this big cliff.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 100 feet.
Probably.
Maybe more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying. It's a big drop. It's a big drop.
Yep.
So, well, hey, like I said, I'm going to bring my banner back. So people just logging in are like, what's going on right now? So we're talking about our new worship camp. This is Jason Henry, the dean. And basically, I'm going to just kind of set up what worship camp is, and then I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of talk about what it'll actually look like. But so worship camp here at Oil Belt is new, but it's really just a slight change from something we have done called Music Camp Plus. So Music Camp Plus was around for over 30 years. And what happened at Music Camp Plus was it would be, uh, dude, Levi Schrock is joining us. There he is.
Hey,
We're going to bring him in real quick. We're going to pause everybody. Levi is the
perfect.
assistant dean. We didn't know if he was going to make it, but he did. So, Levi, how are you, buddy?
Oh, doing well, doing well. Just got done teaching a class here at the church. So
Nice.
That is a good reason to be late. You're totally fine. So, well, hey, Levi is our assistant dean with Jason. Levi, what church are you at? How long have you been there? Tell us a little bit about yourself since you just came on.
yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'm at the Christ Church Effingham campus, and I've been here now almost 7 years. So yeah, it's been pretty cool to see what God has done in those last 7 years. And I get to do a lot of fun things, get to talk to people every week about following Jesus. So
That's
it's
awesome.
a lot of fun.
You've been there a little longer than 7 years, though.
Well, I mean, I have been going to Christ Church since like 5th grade. So yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. But on staff for 7.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's the one that dragged me here from Kentucky. So,
did you guys go to school together?
mm-hmm.
Yes, Jason was my RA, so he's one of the first people that got put in my life when I went to college and helped, surround me with good godly influences. So
That's awesome. Well, we won't go into it tonight because there's not enough time, but one of you have really good stories on the other, and I don't know if it'll be RA to student or if it'll be like student up to the RA. So this could go both ways.
Probably some of both, but yeah, there's no time.
There's totally not enough time. That's awesome. I did not realize that. So, well, hey, what we were doing, Levi, when you logged on was we were talking about worship camp, and I'm just kind of sharing first kind of what it is. And so it started as Music Camp Plus for the last 30 years and it was an awesome program. And at Music Camp Plus, what we did was it was kind of large, like concert band. So, woodwinds, tubas, all of it. And then there was like choir. And actually, Jason, I think you led the choir one year.
I did 1 year. Yeah.
Yeah. And so did the choir. We also had, I should have wrote all this down because there was a lot. It was Music Camp Plus. There was like interpretive dance. There was drama, preaching, art. So there's a lot of tracks within Music Camp Plus. And what happened was that camp slowly declined over the last 10 years, simply because we saw the music programs in schools were in decline across our area. There's some schools that have like still massive programs, but there's a lot that have declined or there isn't a program at all. And so basically that wasn't reaching a niche anymore as numbers just continued to drop. So we were sitting around because obviously these guys love music. I love music. And so we were like, we want something that still reaches that niche of students. And so the idea came with worship camp to still use music and some of those creative arts. But it's going to just look a little different. So I'm going to let Jason go first. Tell us what it's going to look like a little bit. If you want to jump off of that, as far as how is music still part of worship camp and what is that going to look like?
Yeah. So what we've done is taken a look at what is going on in our churches today and what does music look like in your church on Sunday and how can we bring kids to camp and then help equip them and train them and get them excited to serve in music and the arts in their home church. Kind of the question that I keep asking myself is what can we do that is going to help these kids in their churches next Sunday? So we really want to equip and just help fire up these campers to just go and serve in music ministry immediately wherever they're at. And so what we're going to do with music camp is your small group, your life group that you have in the evenings is going to be a band. You're going to meet with a bunch of other kids that play different instruments, and you're going to play in a band together all week and learn songs and worship together. And then in the morning, you'll be able to meet with all the other campers who play your same instrument, whether that's guitar or whether you're singing or playing drums. We're also going to have some non-instrumental tracks, like if you want to learn AV, if you want to learn how to work a sound system, run slides, those kinds of things, or if you want to speak, instead of a specifically preaching track, we're looking at having just sort of a general church communications kind of track, because most churches probably aren't looking to have a 10th grader, 11th grader preach next week, but they'd love to have that same 10th grader or 11th grader give a communion meditation or read scripture or lead a prayer or do any of those things in their youth group. So we want to help kids learn some public speaking skills. So yeah, we're really excited about getting these campers excited about serving in the church and working on those skills.
Yeah, what I think is so awesome about what you just said with all these different tracks, as we were kind of laying this out, and just several people have been involved in kind of creating this whole idea and bringing it together. Um, but one of the things I was so excited about is really it could almost be called a Christian service week,
Yeah.
because we're talking about how to serve in your church and get involved. Like you said, next week, like when camp is over, you could go back and plug in and start using some of these resources that you guys are going to try to train students on. And obviously you're not going to learn a ton in a week. You're not going to be, come back a professional, but to at least start to be able to communicate or grow wherever you're at with the people in your church. And the cool thing about Oil Belt, there's 108 churches over 14 counties. So there's a lot of churches on different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned with AV, some have lights, some just have a light switch, like it's different. But for all these students, there's going to be some opportunities to try some cool things. So
yeah.
Anything you guys want to add in there on that? I know Schrock's ready to go. Look at him.
Yeah, I got one thing. So myself, I am not musically inclined. You do not want me playing any instrument. I have no rhythm. You don't want me singing with a mic because it's not going to sound pretty. But for me, God has been teaching me the last few years what the role worship plays in my relationship with Him. And, I can't follow Christ without having a worshipful attitude. And so for me, as helping plan this week at camp, even if we have campers that maybe aren't the most musically inclined or, aren't the best singers, like that's fine, because at the end of the day, I want to be able to help give and lead the campers in what it looks like to, follow God with all of the heart and live in a relationship with Him and see how worship, plays a role in that. See how they can, serve God, serve the church with their talents and abilities, and let God use that in any way that He sees fit. And so that's kind of how I'm approaching camp. Jason can handle the music side, the technical side, but
yeah. Well, I think that's a great point, because when you're teaching students, it's not just the skills, it's the heart behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a big idea on that.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Jason does a fantastic job of that too. So
totally.
I love listening to him and, seeing how he shapes everything he does, from stage to point people to God too. So it'll be a good opportunity all around for students. So.
Yeah, I'm excited about some of the faculty and teachers we've got lined up. I think kids are really going to learn more about what it means to have a heart of worship and sing to God from your heart with your whole being, not just singing words and songs, but your whole life is a song. And I really want to help them catch that fire.
Right. That's awesome. So you mentioned small groups are going to be really fashioned around like worship teams, like the band you're with. So, kind of, you mentioned some instruments there, but I play the piccolo. So
nice.
Can I bring my piccolo to camp?
Well,
what's that look like for as far as the band and what those teams will look like?
Yeah. So we've got you got your standard instruments, your guitar, your bass, your drums, and your singers. But if anybody plays a different instrument that's outside of that, then I'm really encouraging them to write that on your sign up form. And hopefully if somebody plays the flute or the violin, hopefully we'll be able to find a way to work that in and have a unique instrument maybe in each band. But yeah, so your life group for the week is going to be the people that you're playing with and singing with. And there'll also be like an AV person or two in each group, and probably a person or two that are doing speaking. And then we're also going to bring in somebody who's a worship minister from the community, to come in and mentor each band for the week. And I think that's going to be a really powerful experience for everybody. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
What's going to be awesome about that is I'm fired up to get, like you said, all these worship ministers, people just involved in camp. I don't know what that means for music for the rest of the weeks of camp. You guys are just going to have to pull like 4 weeks or something.
All of them.
Exactly. They'll be like, sorry, I'm going to worship camp. But I think that's going to be really cool. And like you mentioned, the registration form, when you guys sign up online for music camp, there's going to be some drop down menus or something where you're able to put that in. I was supposed to see that today and we didn't get around to it. So I'm not able to specifically talk about what it looks like, but I know we talked with our program like a couple weeks ago and it's in there. Cool. So when you select music camp, it's going to give you some options to talk about some of those tracks. Specifically, you're talking about if you have an instrument, singing, AV, all of that. So
sweet.
So what else other than music, the small groups kind of change? Anything else students need to look forward to for worship camp this summer? Anything else that maybe we haven't hit on?
I mean, it's still camp, right?
It's
like
still camp.
We're going to swim. We're going to do, faculty hunts. And I think we're going to do a talent show one night. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be a blast. I'm super excited about it.
That's great. Now, are you guys, I know we've talked about it and I should have brought my notes with me, but are you using the Jesus is theme or are you going with a different theme for this week, or what's kind of the teaching's going to be on?
Jesus, definitely. No. Yeah. I mean, just all around, how Jesus is, good news in our life. Just looking at, we'll try to look at every aspect of Jesus as much as we can within that week, just who he is as, the Son of God, what he does in our life as Lord and Savior. There's, there'll be a lot to unpack, but we'll get through it. So,
yeah. Well, I have no doubt in my mind that if Schrock is involved, there's going to be a lot of teaching. It's going to be really good. There's going to be a lot of different ways that's teaching. It's not just going to be somebody standing up there talking. There's going to be a lot of active learning. There's going to be a lot of personal time. There's going to be a lot of group time, small group time, because I've worked with both of you guys in camp, and there's going to be a lot of different ways that you guys bring that about. So I'm fired up for the teaching personally.
Me too.
Yeah. Well, I think that was all the questions I had as far as like what people have asked me of what is worship camp, what to expect, what to bring. Hopefully we've hit everything. Nobody's thrown up questions on Facebook that I've seen so far. But I just appreciate you guys. I'm looking forward to camp. Anything you want to add before we close it out?
I think it's just going to be a really awesome time for kids who are into the arts and who are into worship to come and hang out with other campers who are into the same stuff. Because we music and arts guys are into maybe a little bit different kind of recreation than the Athletes Week campers.
Right.
So I just think it's gonna be really exciting and a great time to build community.
Yeah, it is neat to see each camp's different niche. I mean, you have Genesis camp where we're talking about science and the Bible, worship camp where it's going to have that music orientation, athletes camp, wilderness camp, like all of them have their own culture. It's really cool to see kids come together at each one, doing things they love the way God has created them. It's a really special week. So thank you guys. I'm going to end the broadcast, and you guys out there watching, if you have any questions more about music camp, hit up the office. We'll be glad to answer them, and we'll see you guys at camp real soon. Camp launches registration March 6th, Monday, March 6th. So we're just like 2 weeks out. So it's going to be sweet. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah.